How limited was Bryce in those last two games dealing with what he's been dealing with, and how much healthier are you hoping he'll be for this bowl game?
Yeah, I'm not sure how limited. Bryce is probably the best gauge if you ask him directly. There was a difference, but he was still able to be effective and lead our team, and I thought he played well. Obviously, we'd like everyone at 100%, and I think there's enough time for that.
Was there much talk though, in game planning of taking into account that he was less than 100%, or not really?
No, Well, there's so Bryce at a little bit less than 100% is still more than most. So yeah, we didn't alter much.
How much has he had the impact on this program that you hoped when you brought him in?
Well, I think that's an easy answer. So a winning season and a chance to win 8 in our second consecutive bowl game. I don't think any of those things happened without the way Bryce played this year.
Has he even been better than maybe what you expected?
Yeah, he was. Bryce has been more consistent, certainly more efficient. Throwing the football has exceeded my expectations, and just his leadership. So I wouldn't say there's an area where he hasn't exceeded what I thought he would be. And in year 1, some of the things are approaching what I thought we'd get year 2. So his acceleration has been great.
How have you seen him kind of help some of the other guys get past that tech loss? Have you seen him take on a leadership role?
You know, I haven't been with the team enough. I've been on the road recruiting from the minute that game was over, and I haven't been with our team much. So that'll play out when we start bowl prep in earnest next week.
Speaking of recruiting, you told us, and I apologize, I can't remember the number, if it was 5 times or 7 times the effort it took the time to recruit an in-state kid versus out-of-state. Have you seen a change in that at this point?
Yeah, I think there's a trend positively that some of the backstory and the history is being overcome by progress that's being made. It doesn't mean that it's finished yet, but I see movement not only from the in-state players, but certainly from the interest and I would say the attitude of our in-state coaches and how they view our program and the progress we're making. So yeah, I think the needle's moving.
And specifically in the Richmond area, have you seen a change or development, and is that an important area for this program?
Yeah, it's important, certainly. Proximity is, put it this way, the closer the proximity, the more the importance. And then you just kind of work your way out from there. And I think Richmond is a good indicator of what the state is like in general. So I see a lot of progress. I see the needle moving, and I see interest being generated, and I'm encouraged.
Looking at your preparation for the bowl last year, have you made any changes to?
So not really. A year ago, and looking at our postseason model, it was a model very similar to what we've done for a long time and had success with. Underestimated our depth, underestimated the amount of work we could do for what needed to match with our roster at that point. And I underestimated simply the newness and the novelty of going to postseason for this team and what that would do and how it would affect their mindset. This feels a lot more like business as usual. There's more maturity, there's a higher level of expectation. They already have some point of reference as to what postseason looks like. And so, yeah, I sense just a different maturity.
How much could you, coming into this year, how much could you see the benefit of those extra practices last year?
I'm not sure I saw the benefit of the extra practices as much as I saw the benefit of having just been to postseason. And that then took this, what is it like and how does it work, and to, oh, that's what it is. And that then led to, if you're going to go, you better prepare well so you can play well. And so those lessons, it might have accelerated us faster to have the outcome like we did. Because that certainly can taint your experience of the bowl based on how you play. And so I think that message was really an effective one, actually.
What does that preparation schedule look like for you guys in the coming weeks then?
Yeah, it's almost 2 full weeks of game prep is what it will look like. And work and work and work. We're practicing right now with our younger players and our travel backups, while some, not many of our key players are recovering and training and lifting and running, but really we're practicing now against each other, and then there'll be 2 full weeks against South Carolina prep.
Is there a similarity South Carolina to any of the teams on your schedule? Anything jump out?
Not necessarily, other than I think they're talented. I think they've played, that there's some similarities in that almost every game they've played has been close, and they've had a chance to compete well and win. So I see similarities, not necessarily in relation to who we've played, other than the game. I would believe, and the opponent will be similar to the ACC stretch run of games that have been in overtime for us. That kind of matchup, I think, is what it might be.
When you saw their game tape against Clemson, apparently they put up some big numbers. What kind of, did they do some different things in that?
Not necessarily. They have a few unique formations, and they have some really innovative schemes, especially offensively, and they go at NASCAR tempo. They go fast, and if you don't adjust well, they're talented, and the ball can get behind you or around you really fast. That's what happened to Clemson. They struggled with a few adjustments, and as a result, gave up a lot of points.
When the new NCAA redshirt rule came out, a lot of coaches mentioned it might be a motivator for young guys, kind of keep them focused because they could be rewarded with a bowl game. It seems like most coaches have used it more to plug holes in depth, but do you have any kids that haven't played in a game that you've kind of been holding it out there of, hey, keep working? And
No, our roster, we need anyone we can, whenever we can, to win any game we can throughout the season. So we've been inserting from the beginning on, and I would say that's how most programs are. The current roster number of 85 scholarships versus 13 games, there's still a stress point there, and I know it's helpful to have the 4-game buffer with the red shirts, but it hasn't completely solved the problem, so most of us are still just working week to week. A bowl game is, once you get there, then you reassess.
How did you use that or was that a topic of discussion as a tool throughout the season, or was it just like, if we need this guy, we're using him red shirt?
More of the second. If we need him, we'll use him. And again, this is short-term applications of a long-term strategy. So you try to have this idea of building and growing and developing your program and trying to stack classes if possible. And then there's immediate need of injury and, okay, who else do we have? And you have to make both work the best you can.
is there anybody that's going to be held out of the bowl because they're at that limit and you don't want to burn a year?
I don't think so. Not that we would like to use that we can't use based on the number.
How happy are you for Bryce Hall making a couple All-America teams?
I really, there are some times in sports and sometimes in life where the public accolades warrant and reflect the preparation and the diligence, and this would be one. His preparation is really what he ought to be All-American for. He's played well. The other night we had a recruiting function, and our coaches were walking through the building on the way to it. I think it was 6:30 on a Saturday night, and he was here by himself studying tape. And it just is, his preparation is exceptional. And so his, I would say that the awards that he's received have been reflective of his work ethic and preparation, that's really cool.
Bronco, we've talked about getting that taste out of the mouth in the regular season finale. How nice is it to be able to get back to practice and kind of toward that effort to expunging that?
Yeah, it always helps to do. It helps to clear your head and to get back to work. And we had about a 2-week break in terms of coaches and players getting back together, and I think it took all of that for all of us to then be ready to move forward. And with that said, there's lessons that can be learned, applied, and need to be learned and applied to move forward as our program continues to learn how to finish late season games as a conference contender and that kind of new stage that we're in.